Out on the island. To New Yorkers, that means Long Island. Other than inching along expressways in stifling traffic, getting there means the Long Island Railroad, where the commuter is king. From Penn Station in downtown Manhattan to Jamaica and beyond means a ride on the road's ubiquitous multiple unit trains, or MUs. But in the decades past, it also meant diesel-powered trains. American Locomotive Works diesel-powered trains. The main line starts at Penn Station, passes under the East River, and emerges at Long Island City. Here, it parallels the New York Connecting Railroad's tracks that once carried the New Haven Railroad passenger trains from Penn Station, past Sunnyside Coach Storage Yard, until the line swings north to Hellgate and New England at Harold Tower. The Long Island main swings southeast toward Jamaica, the Mixmaster, where most of the road's branches converge, then diverge. At Hicksville, the line swings southeast through Ronkonkoma and on out to Greenport, the terminus. This is the late 1960s, so let's travel the main and explore the branches. Long Island City. This is the east portal of the East River Tubes. Hunters Point Avenue Station is in the background. A Jamaica-bound train of MP-72 cars emerges from the North Bore. Still in Long Island City, just east of the tunnel, near Harold Tower, as a Manhattan-bound train of double-deck cars passes. Harold controlled a major interlocking of the Long Island, the New Haven, and the Pennsy at Sunnyside Yard. Manhattan-bound M1 cars flash past Harold. A Pennsy, Florida train in the foreground is being washed at the Sunnyside rack. A Jamaica train ambles past Harold, followed by an inbound for Penn Station. The M1s were new to the Long Island in 1968, having been manufactured by the Budd Company. In 2005, the 37-year veterans are being replaced by new M7 cars. The Pennsy train languishes in the washer. M1s race traffic on the Long Island Expressway to Manhattan. This is the former location of the Rego Park Station and the connection to the abandoned Rockaway branch. Only Rockaway trains stopped at the station. An inbound train of MP-72s and an MP-70 double-decker pass over the former westbound connection from the branch. A Jamaica-bound train passes over the tunnel. The Rockaway connection was designated as White Pot Junction, MP70 double-deckers are inbound to Penn Station. In- and outbound trains pass at Rego Park. This line once had 6 tracks. The Woodhaven Boulevard overpass is in the background. Number 12, the Advance Cannonball roars through Kew Gardens on the main line. An ALCo C420 provides the power. Train 22, the all-parlor car Cannonball, powered by a brace of RS3s, heads for Montauk. We'll spend some time here at Union Hall Street, just east of Jamaica. A westbound slows for the station stop at Union Hall. The second-to-last car was the only MP54 with an orange window stripe. A set of MP54s highball the station on the express track, led by a combination car. A couple of eastbounds duck behind a westbound. Brand new M1 cars are on a shakedown run. In the late 60s, a bitter civil war was wreaking havoc on the poor citizens of the African nation of Biafra. A special relief train was organized by the railroad to gather support. The action on the Long Island's main could be quite intense. An eastbound MU train passes an Oyster Bay job powered by an RS3. Behind the station, a local backs off its freight cars into a siding. In a few moments, the Montauk-bound Cannonball passes a standing set of MP54s. The Cannonball is powered by an ALCo C420 and is punctuated by an observation car. An 18-car Port Jefferson branch train coasts through the station. The Long Island's C420s are unusual in that they are steam generator equipped for the passenger service, with the long hood forward no less. The Long Island also meant freight. A power shortage in the late 60s sent them looking for leased power. A freight rumbles past with a pair of Reading RS3s. As we mentioned, the Long Island was ALCo country. Train 18, the East Ender to Montauk, swings by Union Hall. An inbound train from Oyster Bay is led by a C420 in handsome blue and yellow paint. The line experimented with several paint schemes over the years. A train of the M1 cars slows for Union Hall. What's that? A fire on the train? Aha! Another century accelerating. Lots of ALCo smoke. Another rush hour train. As the other Class 1s were getting out of the passenger business, the company was able to save cash by purchasing their no longer needed equipment. This century has cars from Kansas City Southern and Florida East Coast. The bar car on this train was converted from an ex-Bangor and Aroostook buffet lounge. Ah, more smoke. ALCo fans delight. This commuter features ex-New York Central coaches. When all the other roads were getting out of the passenger business, the Long Island's was expanding. MUs meet at Hollis, east of Union Hall. The MP70 double-deckers in the foreground are Penn Station bound. This inbound express is passing Hollis. The ALCo is pulling former New York Central Silver streetcars. Parlor cars and an ex-New Haven 6-bedroom lounge car follow the leader at Hollis. RS2, number 1520, has a local freight in tow. As the freight continues its shuffle, the Shelter Island train 212 heads towards Greenport. It's unusual to see a baggage car in the middle of a train, but this one carries a portable bar in it to satisfy the many tired and thirsty commuters on board. The freight still putters as a Ronkonkoma train highballs Hollis. A colorful train, number 12, the Advance Cannonball with Pensy and New Haven cars, passes Hollis. Two generations of ALCo power meet. First, a C420 powers a westbound Ronkonkoma train. Then an RS3 speeds by, Oyster Bay bound. We move east to Westbury. The station is in the background as a Port Jeff train eases to a stop. Then the big ALCo shows its heritage as it resumes its journey to Jamaica. M1 cars ease to a stop in front of Nassau Tower in Mineola. This train was an Electric Rail Fans Association fan trip. The tower controls the junction of the Oyster Bay branch. We'll see more of the train later on the Far Rockaway branch. An eastbound Ronkonkoma train bypasses the station at Hicksville with P70 coaches and an RS3. Here, the main line turns toward the south, while the Port Jefferson line heads to the north. A beautiful twilight run-by. Another Ronkonkoma train passing B Tower at Bethpage Junction. We are now on the Greenport line. The 420 passes the platform at Republic. East of Deer Park, the Long Island has a short branch to the Pilgrim State Hospital. The service was Sunday only, and since there was no turning or runaround facility at the hospital, the trains head in from the city, then back out. Here's a typical train backing out onto the main. When it clears the switch, the big Century will pull ahead for the short hop to Ronkonkoma, where it'll be turned for the return to the Big Apple. The short-lived Silver Streak, a name borrowed from a classic movie of the same name. The train is west of Ronkonkoma. The easternmost extreme destination for the Long Island passenger is Montauk. The point is windswept and desolate, but beautiful. It's a resort destination for escaping city dwellers, and the railroad's crack trains operate to the end of the line here. The Montauk line diverges from the main at Long Island City and parallels it to Jamaica. There, it swings to the southeast, through Valley Stream and Babylon, before passing the Hamptons en route to the end of the line. This is the Montauk Cutoff at Long Island City. The colorful consist belongs to a troop train from Camp Upton near Yaphank, entering Sunnyside Yard. The train contains only sleepers and diners. The morning rush is over. The RS3 moves light to the Mars Park shops in Bliss over the Dutchkill Bridge. Another deadhead move, this time at Penny Bridge, with an unusual MU'd set of RS-1s. A Century joins the light engine parade at Fresh Pond. Fresh Pond Yard is in the background. Oyster Bay Train 521, behind an RS-3, heads for Long Island City. Yes, the Long Island was loyal to ALCo. An RS-3 powers an Oyster Bay train with P-54 coaches near Forest Park, Richmond Hill. This is a fan trip. The C-420 wears the blue and yellow paint. The next two scenes are at Valley Stream. The Sunrise Highway is in the foreground as MU trains cross. The first is outbound to Babylon, the second inbound for Jamaica. At Oakdale, headed for Spionk. At Sayville, a westbound C-420 powers a bicycle extra. The railroad would add baggage cars to carry passengers' bikes for outings on the island. The eastbound RS-3 has a Spionk train number 4040 in tow. Montauk-bound train 4010 at Quogue. On May 18, 1968, the Lancaster chapter of the NRHS sponsored an excursion to Montauk. They brought with them a restored observation car from the Strasbourg Museum and rode in Pennsy P-70 coaches. The The special is now on its way back to Penn Station. The C-420s lead the happy fans through Canoe Place at Hampton Bays and over the Shinnecock Canal Bridge. The Atlantic branch runs from Flatbush Avenue in Brooklyn to Jamaica. We have two glimpses of the Atlantic branch, both at Dunton. The first is eastbound. The second train is heading to the Flatbush Avenue terminal. The Morris Park diesel shops are in the background. The Belmont Park racetrack provided a lot of traffic during the racing season. The short branch leaves the main at Queens Village. This is opening day of the 1968 season at Belmont Park. The branch and the terminal have been rebuilt and are extensive, accommodating the many fans wanting to dispose of their earnings. The first train arrives from Brooklyn and discharges the eager patrons. The second train is from Penn Station. Then another from Brooklyn. You can see all the platform and layover tracks at the busy terminal. And still they come from Flatbush Avenue and Penn Station. It's now post time. The tracks are nearly full of cars laying over for the trip home. The Far Rockaway and Long Beach branches diverge from the Montauk line. During the hot city summers, New Yorkers crave relief at the beaches on the south shore of the island. Of course, the railroad provides the transportation. The wealthy ride the Cannonball to the Hamptons and Montauk, while those of more modest means went to Coney Island, Far Rockaway, and Long Beach. This is Gibson on the Far Rockaway line. The ERA fan trip we saw in Mineola has reached Gibson. We catch the M1s on both legs of the trip. The MP54s of a Long Beach train cross the lead drawbridge into Island Park. The West Hempstead branch diverges from the Montauk at Valley Stream, while the Hempstead branch starts at Floral Park on the main line. Belying its relative proximity to the world's most important city, the station at Country Life Press is pleasantly rural. The MP54 cars are making their way from Hempstead to Jamaica. Garden City seems just as pleasant as a Flatbush Ave train of MP54s meets another heading for Hempstead. This train on the West Hempstead branch at Lakeview is passing beneath the Southern State Parkway on its trek to Jamaica. The North Shore Railroad constructed a branch that eventually reached Port Washington. The line diverges from the main at Wynn, interlocking in Winfield. A Port Washington to Penn Station train is approaching Wynn, interlocking. The overhead bridge is the Bay Ridge branch, once used by the New Haven's heavy freight motors to reach the float terminal at Bay Ridge. These MP72 cars are a Port Washington train at Wynn interlocking. The train is crossing Little Neck Bay at Douglaston. When the branch was extended to Port Washington, it had to span the marshes south of Manhasset Bay. The 80-foot high, 680-foot long Manhasset Viaduct carries this Port Washington train. Plandome is a small village, a part of North Hempstead. We like this scene, illuminated only by the headlight and the arcing of the pickup shoes on the third rail. In better light, we see a Port Washington train in Plandome. The Oyster Bay branch heads north off the main line at Nassau Tower in Mineola. A three-car Oyster Bay train with an RS3 is accented against the new snow at North Roslyn. Up the line, a Jamaica-bound train stops at the station at Seacliff. A plume is seen from the RS3 steam generator exhaust as the train slows for Mill Neck. The blue and yellow ALCo then accelerates on its run to the main line at Mineola. Still at Mill Neck, this train is outbound to Oyster Bay through autumn foliage. And inbound is just west of Oyster Bay. The same location, outbound. The final major branch we'll cover diverges from the main line at Divide Tower in Hicksville and ends at Port Jefferson. The next 5 scenes are at Cold Spring Harbor. The first is a short RS-3 powered train to Jamaica. An overhead view of a westbound Century-powered train. Sunday-only train, number 4647, from Kings Park State Hospital. A brace of RS-3s lead an eastbound freight to Port Jeff. A rush hour Port Jeff train. An autumn view at Cold Spring as a cut of MP-54s return to the hub at Jamaica. At the curve in Cold Spring, the first train is pulled by a blue and yellow C-420 inbound. Then, an ALCo FA2 cab car leads a train to Port Jeff. The Long Island converted several retired ALCo freight cab units to control cars. They had their prime mover and traction motors removed. The C-420 is providing the shove. This sweeping run-by is at Huntington. A fan trip with business car Setauket is in the hole for a meet with a Jamaica-bound train. A commuter job in Setauket. Just west of Port Jefferson. The end of the line. This commuter in the MTA paint arrives at Port Jefferson. After the passengers have detrained, the train moves to the yard. In a bit earlier time frame, photographer Seldom Adams visited Port Jeff to capture some of the Long Island's Fairbanks Morse power. A baby train master runs around its train. Then we get some close-ups of a sea liner laying over in the yard. The H-1644 departs Port Jefferson. These engines were nearing the end of their lives. Here comes a sea liner. This is a scheduled train with cars added for an excursion to Port Jeff, sponsored by the Tuscarora Club. One final glimpse of the sea liners laying over. Still at Port Jeff, a Century is being run around the Y for the trip to Jamaica. A brand new C420 brings a train of commuters into Port Jeff. There was a short branch to Northport. Before it was abandoned, a fan trip made one final call. We've already seen several railfan excursions. Here are some more. At Bliss on the Montauk Line, an excursion behind an FA1 power pack crosses the Dutch Kill Bridge. This is for the NRHS convention in 1972. At Richmond Hill, the special is now on the Mitchell Field branch. The C420 providing the power now leads the observation car at Riverhead towards Greenport. The Long Island also operated a small fleet of Bud RDCs. Number 3101 and 3121 stop and protect the Clinton Road crossing on an excursion. The same train is at Stewart Avenue on the now abandoned Mineola Garden Lead. An RS3 hustles a fan trip with an observation car. Unfortunately, we do not know the location. Steam on the island? Sure. The first run-by is at Golf Ground, near Southampton. Though the G5s are long gone, Ron Zeal's Sag Harbor and Scuttlehoe Railroad borrowed the Black River and Western's Consolidation No. 60 for an excursion on the Montauk Line. The special has passed Amagansett. At Montauk, the steamer rubs noses with an ALCo. The power and the observation having been turned, the special departs Montauk. One last fan trip. RS3 number 1558 and observation car Setauket are running to Greenport. As the train passes Riverhead, well-known railroad author E.M. Frimbo is seen on the platform next to the conductor. At Greenport, the locomotive and observation car must be turned. The turntable is air-powered. The carman connects the hose from the table to the train airline, and the ALCo takes a spin. Then the OBS is shoved on and is reversed for the return trip. We're ready to head west. One last visit to the Port Jeff branch at the Smithtown Viaduct. Thanks for riding with us on the Long Island Railroad. Oh yes, the camera survived.